So we'll do respiratory. See, the main reason I didn't want to do a balance is I couldn't think of a way to start it, but you thought of one for me, so.
Thank you.
And then excellent. And then just say I receive muscle monitoring. I receive kinesiology. I work with Guy. I receive change in line with the highest potential. Cool. And then I'll just do the lung. And then I'll go hologram. They're all lung, so I'm going to do can opener, hologram. Lung light touch. No, I'm going to start again. I'll go lung mode with organ. I might do the anterior serratus muscle. It's hypertonic. Cool. And then I'll do a hologram light touch. And then I'll go they'll go lung light touch. And I'll go triple warmer. Small intestine. Gallbladder. Bladder. Large intestine. So you can see I'm putting on the bronchial tree. Feet together apart. And then the cells on the inside of that bronchial tree are epithelial cells. So I'll do cell mode like that, basement membrane for epithelial cells. We also do it in Kung Fu. And then hold. Feet together apart. And then I'll look at the membranes of the epithelial cells pointing into the trachea. I could also look at the has it got a mucosal membrane? Is there a mucosa? Yeah, well this should address it through the epithelial cells because they're the cells that form the mucosa. And then I'll look at like if I could look at you could do pathogens, like because if it's fungus, I could go pathogen mode and then fungus, because that's what did the destruction. I can do it again with deep touch. So I go hologram normal touch, a hologram light touch, and I'll go lung deep touch. And then triple warmer, small intestine, gallbladder, bladder, large intestine, and then anatomy because they're structures. And I can do epithelial cells. And then feet together apart. So I could come up here, all the way back. And then we've got pathogen mode. So like that, pericardium 6. And then fungus is like below that knuckle on the ring finger. and that's gone to third stage stress. So that's what's damaged the epithelial cells, and that stripping away the mucosal membrane. And then feet's going apart. And then I'm going to do membrane mode. I'll put the epithelial cells back on just because I'm looking at the membranes of the epithelial cells. Feet's going apart. So first I looked at the fungus, and then I looked at I'm going to look at the membrane of the membrane. Well, ideally, I just want to do the membrane balance, but it went into third stage stress, so the deep touch is not enough good bacteria, and the light touch. So because it's fungus, you shouldn't have fungus in there, like no fungus. So I just did light touch, because that's the pathogenic one, isn't it? And then so it's a little bit different to the gut, because the gut's supposed to have fungus in it. What am I looking for? Membrane mode. Who put it there? So I've already got the epithelial cells on, then I could put the membrane format on, and then I could put membrane mode on, membrane vial, feet's going apart. And then we can have a look in book 3, and then we could look at, we could scan this if we wanted to, and then we could come to here, and so then I could do protein mode. So I'm looking at the proteins in the enzyme, the proteins in the membrane. And so I could look at enzymes, I could look at hormone receptors, I could look at transport protein, I could look at MHC proteins. So the MHC proteins are stressed. The transport proteins are the priority, so I'll put them on. I'll do one at a time, and then feet's going apart, and then I'll do chi harmonics. Emotional, chi harmonics. Lower mental. And then I could look at a chakra. So solar plexus chakra. So that's lung, light touch, deep touch, large intestine, light touch, deep touch. So yang under energy capability, which is under energy determination. Could I grab it? It's all right. And then so then the issues for this one. Oppressed, overwhelmed, so that's showing. Swamped. Your house turned into a swamp. And then can't stay focused and follow through, which is classic for people with fungal infections. They get really dissipated. Trapped in a web of subcreation, apathy, inertia, lazy. And then affirmations, I'll just scan them. I transcend resistance with determination.
Do I say that?
Mm.
I transcend resistance with determination.
And then just say I want to,
I want to.
I don't want to,
I don't want to.
think I can,
Think I can.
think I can't,
Feel
feel I can,
Feel I can.
feel I can't,
Feel I can't.
believe I can,
Believe I can.
believe I can't,
Believe I can't.
I know I can,
No,
no
I can.
I can't,
No, I can't.
it's safe for me,
It's safe for me.
it's not safe,
It's not safe.
accept the consequences,
Accept the consequences.
I don't accept the consequences,
I don't accept the consequences.
I'm worthy,
I'm worthy.
I'm not worthy,
I'm not worthy.
I take responsibility,
I take responsibility.
I don't take responsibility.
I don't take responsibility.
Okay, feet together apart. Okay, correction, more information. I'll just go back to the epithelial cells. And I'll check the MHC group, so they're still active. And then I'll do, I'll just do this again. And then hold. So is that it? So it's the heart chakra. And then so that the heart is liver, light touch, deep touch, gallbladder, light touch, deep touch. Gallbladder under energy astral. Which is acceptance. So gallbladder under energy is respond. So reactive, keep recycling emotional trauma. Can't resolve old emotions. Got them all. Stuck in the past, but can't see it. Can't find or establish my own sense of centre. Being an effect rather than a cause. Drama queen. Yeah, not that one. I create the support and understanding that I need to resolve my emotional triggers. Create the support and understanding that I need to resolve my emotional triggers. So it's like you don't have sort of a stable place to sit and let them pass through you. More information, correction. So am I correcting? Yes, no, am I correcting both? So it's correcting both the transport protein and then the MHC antigen, which correspond to different chakras. Auric body. So it's come up with lower mental. Pardon? The ROS? No. Well, I could have done it, but I didn't. I could have checked it. So I kind of want to demonstrate the astral body one. So I suppose I could have gone there, but these ones have all showed, so it's probably what she needed. So then I'm looking at the lower mental body. So is there an F? So there's an F attached to the lower mental body. Karma, guidance, so there's an F which kind of makes sense because you've had a fungal invasion in your body. And then by clearing the neph, that'll open up the energy portals, and then the energy portals corresponding to the membrane integrity of your respiratory tract.
I feel the energy really pushing out from that rib cage and in that core body.
And then feet together apart. So then we can go open up the bioharmonics again. So we can also look at lung wei qi, so lung shen. Oh, so I'll want the bioharmonics. Lung shen would have been quicker. Not that I think like that. Yeah. Just thought it'd be nice because it's lungs. So then we can get the will vial to amp it up a little. And then if you could just say, I enact my rights
I enact my rights
across all aspects, levels and dimensions of my being.
of all aspects, levels and dimensions of my being.
Just say it again.
I
I enact my
enact
rights
my rights
across all aspects,
across all aspects,
levels and dimensions of my being, known and unknown.
known and unknown.
So you don't need to check what sort of attachment.
Oh yeah, I do. Entity, composite, comline, implant. So none of them are showing. It's probably like messing with my brain. So it didn't show entity, composite, comline, implant. Human, non-human, being from another dimension. Time, present time is 10. Present, how old are you?
62.
62 to 60, 60 to 50, 50 to 40, 50 to 45, 45 to 40, 44, 43, 42, 43 to 42 and a half, 42 and a half to 42. Thinking about what was going on then. Feet together apart. And then, so that's when it plugged in. And then I'll just double check which body it's in. I checked, didn't I? It was the lower mental. Already did that. I've got the will vial on. So just say, I enact my rights
I enact my rights
across all aspects, levels and dimensions of my being,
all aspects, levels and dimensions of my being,
known and unknown.
known and unknown.
And then I enact my rights
I enact my rights
across all timelines,
across all
soul extensions
soul
and
extensions
situations.
and situations.
I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own self-determination.
I acknowledge and
I acknowledge and
accept my right
exercise
and exercise
the right
the right
to my own
to my own
self-determination.
self-determination.
Say it again.
I acknowledge
I acknowledge
my
and
and
exercise
exercise my
right. Try again.
I acknowledge and exercise my right
Hmm.
of
To my own.
to my own self-determination.
Just say the whole thing in one go.
I acknowledge and exercise my right to exercise
To my own.
to my own self-determination.
And just say it in one go.
I acknowledge and exercise my right to exercise.
I'll say it one more time, then you repeat the whole thing. I acknowledge
I acknowledge
and exercise my right
and exercise my right
to my own self-determination.
to my own self-determination.
Cool. That's all right. I just want you to generate the mental energy to initiate it yourself. Otherwise, it's not you saying it. And then I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own sanity.
I acknowledge and exercise my right to my own sanity.
And hold. I acknowledge and exercise the right
I acknowledge and exercise the right
to my own freedom of choice.
to my own freedom of choice.
I acknowledge and exercise the right to end games.
I acknowledge and exercise the right to end games.
I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own sovereign domain.
I acknowledge and exercise my right to my own sovereign domain.
Just say the right, because it's like a universal right rather than it is your right, but it's the right because it's for all sentient beings. So just say, I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own sovereign domain.
I acknowledge.
I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own sovereign
The
domain.
right to
I
my
acknowledge it.
sovereign
Yep.
domain.
Okay, perfect.
It's staring in my head.
I build allegiance with beings
I build allegiance with beings
that support my own sovereign domain.
that support my own sovereign domain.
I build allegiances with, I support and enable others
I support and enable others
to enact their own sovereign domain.
to enact their own sovereign domain.
I support and enable others to enact their own sovereign domain. I build allegiances with beings
I build allegiances with beings
that support my own sovereign domain.
that support my own sovereign domain.
Did we do that twice? Yeah. I didn't remember it, so I went back and did it again. Feet together apart. And then last one, I rescind
I rescind
all choices,
all choices,
decisions,
decisions,
promises,
promises,
contracts,
contracts,
agreements,
agreements,
obligations,
obligations,
vows,
vows,
oaths,
oaths,
covenants,
covenants,
and such like
such like
that no longer serve my highest potential.
that no longer serve my highest potential.
Feet together apart. And then in relation to those statements, just say I want to,
I want to,
don't want to,
don't,
think I can,
think I can,
think I can't.
think I can,
I feel I can,
feel I can,
feel I can,
I feel I can,
feel I can't,
feel I can't,
I know I can,
I know I can,
I know I can't. It's safe for me,
it's safe for me,
it's not safe. I accept the consequences,
the consequences,
I don't accept the consequences. I'm
I'm
worthy,
worthy,
I'm worthy,
I'm worthy,
I'm not worthy,
I'm
I take responsibility,
not
I don't take responsibility. Feet together apart. All right, more information, correction, energy. Who wants a flower essence? Australian bush flower. See which box. Left box. Beggar hacker. Beggar hacker. Hakia. Open expression of feelings. Open expression of feelings. So could you think of anything going on when you're, what, 42? Open your mouth. Couldn't get it out. Hold. Any more?
I don't think so.
Just be careful for roadside. All right, so let's just just. So that's the fluorescences. That's your neph going. Nothing smashed, it just crumpled. And then this one's empty. She drank it all. So just say, I enact my rights across all aspects, levels, and dimensions of my being known and unknown. My rights across all levels and dimensions of my being, known and unknown. Hold. I enact my rights across all timelines, soul extensions, and situations. Hold. I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own self-determination, the right to my own self-determination. Hold. And then I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own sanity, the right sanity. It's good that you got that one. I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own freedom of choice. Freedom of choice. I acknowledge and exercise the right to end games. Cool. And then I acknowledge and exercise the right to start new games. Cool. And then I acknowledge and exercise the right to my own sovereign domain. So you're saying them much better now. I build allegiances with beings that support my own sovereign domain. Hold. And then I support and enable others to enact their own sovereign domain. And then just say, I rescind all choices, decisions, promises, contracts, agreements, obligations, vows, oaths, covenants, and such like that no longer serve my highest potential. Cool. And then we'll just look at stress around. I create the support and understanding that I need to resolve my emotional triggers. And then I transcend resistance with determination. Hold. Cool. And then we'll just go back to the membrane. So we're in the lung, in the epithelial cells, in the membrane. And then we can look at transport proteins. So they're not showing stress, and we can look at the MHC proteins. And they're not showing stress either. And then that's it.
That was weird.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.